Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the correct views. Sam I be the Gangi during political commentary for the media speaks, as well as blasting news. I write for the Conservative Daily Post, and I'm in demand passing time. Welcome aboard, everyone. I'm sleepy today. I got up for work doing this before, and I am tired. I think it probably shows. Beaten until they collapse for the crime of having sex outside of marriage. Um, this is interesting, and I want to know if anybody there has run into this kind of thing, particularly if you make YouTube videos, as I clearly do. Um, have you run into instances where every time you talk about something that really matters, YouTube doesn't want to allow you to monetize the video? I've run into this repeatedly. There must be 50 videos or more. I've been getting a stream of rejections lately, and I listen to them. And on most of them, I don't even swear. What I do is I talk about facts, and I talk about the reality of things that are going on in the world, and it's not politically correct to address these things. Well, you know what? It's morally correct to address these things, so I'm going to. And I'm probably going to not be able to monetize this video, but that's okay. Because I have a camera that won't even stay on up there, so it doesn't really matter. This show, I'm telling you, beaten until they collapse for the crime of having sex outside of marriage. Man and woman are canned in Indonesia after violating strict Sharia law. Caned, excuse me. Shocking photographs have emerged of young Indonesians being whipped until they collapse for having sex outside of marriage. The barbaric caning was handed down by Islamic legislators after 8 locals were doomed to have broken strict Sharia law, and that condemns any sexual act between a man and a woman if they are not married. The beatings occurred at Ossia, which is the only province of the country which implements Sharia law in full. Just take the camera down. It's fine. It's too late. Time is coming on. We own garbage. Look at these pictures. I'm on screen share here. Don't even bother. Too much of it's gone. I'm on screen share here, and you guys can see this. Look at this. What kind of barbarism is this? It looks like a really, really bad science fiction movie, or like a dystopian movie of some kind, where there's barely any electricity. Not so much on this one, but again, if you factor out the cameras, you would swear to God this was 250 years ago. The boots, you know what I mean. Just factor everything else out, you'd swear it was 2,000 years ago. I said 250. Yeah, I told you I was tired, friends. Look at this. Where are the women, the feminist groups? Woman braces herself for the cane across the back for violating strict Sharia law. I guess Donald Trump, is hateful of women because he doesn't want to allow people into the country to do things like this. Well, he's just a terrible person. The woman was whipped for having sex outside of marriage and grips her arm as her masked punisher stands above her, and she's humiliated in front of the town. Her Rizal bin Yunus, 27, fainted after being caned 8 times in front of a crowd in Asia, the only province of the world's most populous Muslim majority country that imposes Sharia law. Officials carried off stage after, that's a different kind of Islam for those of you that don't know. Officials carried him off the stage and he collapsed. I'm sorry, I thought it was a girl's name. He collapsed is how bad it was during the punishment outside a mosque in the provincial capital of Banda Esa, which was carried out by a religious official dressed in all-encompassing hooded cloak, like a KKK member. Once he came to, the doctor examined him and said he was in good health, and he was taken back up to be flogged another 14 times. The local religious court had sentenced him to be caned 22 times. The man had broken the Islamic laws that forbid people in Asia from spending time in close proximity with members of the opposite sex who are not husband and wife. He was one of 8 people publicly caned on Monday, so they don't even know if he had sex. He's sitting and talking to someone. Public canings take place regularly in Asia, and people can be punished for offenses ranging from gambling, drinking alcohol, gay sex. However, it is rare that someone to collapse. He may have just been trying to get out of it. It's hard to say. These people are like animals. The province began implementing Sharia law after being granted autonomy in 2001, an attempt by the government of Jakarta to quell the long-running separatist insurgency. Yeah, beat them into submission. Islamic laws have been strengthened since the CIA struck a peace deal in Jakarta in 2005. And there we go. Look at this. Here's the pictures of what they did to this person. She's like literally begging them to stop. But no, absolutely not. The religion of peace. There it is. Anybody caught engaging in consensual sex is punished with 100 lashes, 100 months in jail, or a fine of 1,000 grams of gold. They also are set out of punishment for sex crimes, unmarried people engaging in displays of affection, people found guilty of adultery and underage sex. Never mind that underage sex was what Mohammed did when he took a 9-year-old bride that I think he deflowered only a couple of years after that. Religious police in the CIA have been known to target women without headscarves and those wearing tight clothes and people drinking alcohol or gambling. Engaging in homosexual acts is not a crime under Indonesia's national code, but remains taboo in many conservative parts of the country with the world's largest Muslim population. Now listen. Okay, certainly we understand. And yes, I'm aware that Trump isn't banning everyone from Indonesia. I was being facetious before I'm called out on it. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go engaging in sex outside of wedlock. If you have the willpower to not do such things, then it's wonderful. But even the Christian God, you are supposed to show your love to the Christian God by doing that which you think is right, because you care about the tenets and the precepts of the religion, not because you were beaten into it. And another thing, we don't even know that these people did anything wrong. Literally, they were just found guilty of being alone together. And I mentioned, you say, why are you talking about this, Sam? Who gives a damn? Because there are people like Linda Sarsour that are very much in favor of sympathy towards Sharia. And I think that matters quite a bit because it could be coming here. And I guess that's your heads up. Hey, guys, this is The Blaze. Oh my God, these ads are terrible. Rand Paul wants to change Trump's mind about civil asset forfeiture. Now, for those of you that don't know, that's where the government can take your money just because you have it on you, and they can say, well, because you have cash on you, you probably did something wrong, so we're taking it. And it's legal, and they do it all the time to people, and they don't give it back. Rand is standing against that, thankfully. During a Sunday appearance on C-SPAN, newsmaker Senator Rand Paul took the stand against the state and the federal practice of civil asset forfeiture. Asset forfeiture is a way for law enforcement to confiscate property without trial. Without trial, right there, my friends. Purely off suspicion that your property is being used for criminal activity. During his discussion about the practice, Paul referenced the comments President Donald Trump made to a sheriff about destroying the career of a Texas lawmaker who was introducing bills to restrict asset forfeiture. Paul, rightfully, believes that a discussion with Trump is necessary to bring him around. There was a discussion the other day in the White House about civil asset forfeiture. I, said Rand Paul, think civil asset forfeiture is a terrible idea until you've convicted someone. And I'd like to have that discussion with the president. Now, do you understand why I was leaning towards Rand Paul a little bit more than Donald Trump, though I am happy with what Trump has done so far? Hopefully Trump is open to listening to Rand. Trump recently appointed Attorney General Jeff Sessions as a record of supporting asset forfeiture to the point of wishing it to go unhampered. Paul says that he has discussed the subject with Sessions and explained that asset forfeiture is a practice that primarily targets and hurts the poor, who primarily deal in cash. Doing so, Paul says, does not automatically make them criminals. When they have cash, they walk around, that doesn't make them automatically guilty of a crime because they deal in cash. So I think in order to take someone's money from them, the government ought to prove that it was ill-gotten, Paul said. If someone's caught with 50 kilos of some kind of drug, and then there's 50,000 cash sitting there, and somehow the people that are caught are going to get it back, that never happens. Paul has been something of an ally of Trump since he took office, agreeing with the president's opinions most of the time. However, he has stated in the past that he'd expect that he and Trump will butt heads on some subjects. One of those subjects has been entitlements, where Paul took a bold stance in saying that then President-elect's disinterest in tackling entitlements does not make him a fiscal conservative. And that's true. I mean, if you overextend welfare and that for everyone, then it'll be there for no one. Um, he's a real danger, and there have been instances of up and down the country in little towns on the side of highways just pulling over everybody and taking their money, almost like some sort of Robin Hood kind of scheme. So I do worry about that, and I will continue to stand up for what I feel is right, no matter whether it's a Republican or Democrat in office. Good man, Rand Paul. Very, very good man. And again, I'm somebody that doesn't trust the banking system. My wife does. My wife is going to get vast amounts of her money and probably a great deal of mine stolen because she is addicted to this leaving it on the card. Never mind that Cyprus stole people's money. Never mind that Greece stole people's money. Never mind that every banking system that is set up with the same kinds of precepts that our banking system is set up with has stolen money from the people. She leaves the money in the bank. So, of course, I deal in cash, and I do nothing really nefarious at all. An occasional joint, if you must know. FoxForNow.com is speaking of U.S. marijuana jobs set to outpace manufacturing. Dun, da, da, da. This is great. This is a trip. The White House hinted last week that they may crack down on states that have legalized recreational marijuana. Again, this is another area where Trump is trampling states' rights here. And while I have supported him all along, we're going over some instances where I do not. Marijuana industry experts, and again, it's not because I partake in a joint once in a while. It's because it's a Fourth Amendment issue. It's not up to the government. Marijuana industry experts hope a new jobs prediction report might take the target off the legal pot business. According to a report from Frontier Data, marijuana-based jobs are set to outpace manufacturing jobs in the United States by 2020. This was supposed to be something I was going to cover on April 1st, but Christelle and I did not remember to do the April 1st show with Buddy Puff and all of our characters. I didn't even know when Mardi Gras was. I found out about it the day after, so give me a break. The report estimates that over 3 years, legalized marijuana will create 300,000 jobs. Colorado was the first state to legalize recreational marijuana in the U.S., and the booming business there has created 20,000 jobs. It's a new industry and comes to support all kinds of service. Look, my friend Tyler worked in the legal marijuana industry and loved it and said it gave him a better standard of living than he's had since he came back. So, I mean, I get it. Okay, I get it. Again, he's a few fries short of a Happy Meal, too. But in any event, there's money to be made there. And Trump's talking about the economy doing well. He's talking about freedom. He's talking about the Constitution. Well, then that would mean letting someone decide these matters for themselves. All of this, friends, brought to you by Change Transportation. I've got a couple stories left. I'm just reminding you that if you're going to call Uber, you'd be much better served by calling Change Transportation and having them do a price match. Trust me on this. Okay, what's with the case of the killer bed bug? This is from the Evening Sun. There are 2 stories left. Now, a little side story. Both of my parents are dead now. No, they were not killed by bed bugs, but damn close. They were disabled, not mentally, physically. They were always on those little buggies and stuff. My dad had degenerative disc disease, and my mom had horrible knees, probably from having crazy children like me. But in any event, they went nowhere. Their car died, so they would catch a taxi, and they'd go out to eat at restaurants. And they weren't like dive restaurants, they were good restaurants that everybody in the city goes to. Some of them were very nice. God only knows where. But they contracted bed bugs. I don't mean mildly. I mean that their house, which never had bugs in it, went from no bugs to a level of infestation in just 2 months that staggered the mind. My dad's gallbladder, he was putting off, was cancer, which was my reminding everyone to get themselves checked. especially if something is wrong. Don't just assume it's just gallbladder. It was gallbladder cancer, and that went to his liver and it killed him. So we quit worrying about the house. And then my brother moved my mom in with him. So we literally had to leave the house dormant for over 2 years without anybody in it, not even an animal like a cat, nothing, to get rid of these. However, I don't know that I buy this idea that they're saying here about bedbugs killing someone. This is my free shout out to everyone, though. If you think because you live in a really nice house in a really nice area that you're not going to get it, you will. That's not how bedbugs travel. They're like palmetto bugs or whatever they're called that look like cockroaches in Florida. They're not attracted to filth like other cockroaches are. They just are. They're everywhere, like ants. Last February, West Manheim Township police entered a home on Baltimore Pike, and one of the first things they noticed were bed bugs, which, thank God, I have not seen a bed bug in years and hope not to. The pests were seen on walls and along ledges. They scurried on the bed sheets and pillows where an elderly woman slept in the first floor room. That said, police told officers she was blind and could feel them crawling. Sometimes, she said, the bugs bit her too. Sometimes. They are red because they're filled with blood, your blood. EMS would later check on that woman, but not notice any visible injuries, police said. But according to police, there was a second woman who was living at the home, too. Both had been staying there under the care of the homeowners, Deborah Butler, who had previously run a licensed home care facility, Lucan brought personal care home. Butler, 72, closed that business a few years ago, but the women had stayed with her at her home, police said. Butler provided food, shelter, clothing, as well as personal and health care. Both personal and health care. Oh, I see what they mean. Both women paid for the care services, documents state. 2 weeks after police visited Butler's home for the first time, the second woman, Mary Stoner, there we are again, at 96, we're not going to laugh, she passed on, died at York Hospital. It is just funny that her name is Stoner after the last report. An autopsy determined that her cause of death was from complications of sepsis following a bedbug infestation. So, which is interesting because my mom died of sepsis, but it wasn't from the bed bugs. It was 2 years removed. But I don't know if I buy this story or not. It just seems a bit far-fetched to me. However, we live in a world where anything's possible, and I could see how this could possibly give you sepsis. In the event, it killed her. I mean, literally, I had not heard of anyone dying of bed bugs. But felony charges were filed against Butler this week. And she faces neglect of care, first-degree felony, and involuntary manslaughter, which is a misdemeanor. Involuntary manslaughter is a misdemeanor. According to police, Stoner was brought to the emergency room at York Hospital in February of 2016. She had sores on her skin, and staff was under the opinion that Stoner's infection was the result of bed bug bites. All right, look. The woman taking care of them probably should have just stuck them in a nursing home, but I'm not sure that the way to punish the woman who had the bed bugs in the home and trying to help, I'm not sure the best way to punish an old woman like that, she's in her 70s, is to lock her up. Because we're going to create a society here where nobody wants to help anyone else. I've got a gentleman repairing my home, and no one is living there. But there are times at very strange hours the people are at the house. And people would wonder, oh, you got a permit for this or that, or he's a permit to put drywall on my own roof. The point is that there's people in and out all the time, and people, I'm glad people ask questions and keep an eye on the property. But at some point, you bring other people into things, and it's between you and that other person, not the whole world. And perhaps this woman did bite off more than she could chew by trying to help her. I'm sure it wasn't her goal to kill the woman from bed bugs or neglect. All right, friends. The dumbdee of the day. You know what that means. It's when we find the idiot, the dumbdee of the day and make it. It's after the first. I should have done a Dunce Cap of the Month today or a Fukushima, but it'll be coming next month. I didn't think of it. I'm very tired. Sleepy. North Korea executes 5 with anti-aircraft gun. No, Sam, man, you already covered this. No, I did not. He has done it again. Now, for those of you that don't know, shooting a man with an anti-aircraft gun is like shooting an ant with a bazooka. It really is. Not much of an analogy there. It is a show of force and a waste of money. I know it's only one round, so to speak, to put that Machiavellian fear in them. But, I mean, let's face it, North Korea doesn't have many. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, one of the most vile, mean, evil people alive, executed 5 security officials by anti-aircraft gun due to false statements which were given by the North's leader and caused him to be enraged. The event was disclosed by the South Korean spy agency, a national intelligence service, and discussed in private meeting with South Korean lawmakers, according to the Associated Press. The more likely, yes, I stole that. The more likely explanation of the executions is that North Korean dictator is feeling insecure in his position, head cheese eater, look it up. Hence the shootings and the execution of his half-brother and VX nerve gas in Kuala Lumpur. That means he has now nuclear weapons and illegal VX nerve gas, which is a weapon of mass destruction. What it does to the body is not pretty. These security officials were members of the recently purged state security chief Kim Won-hon. He was fired due to reports of corruption and torture in his agency. Torture? Kim Jong-un deliberately oversees the most torturous regime in the world. If you even speak badly about him, if you break a law and you don't even know what it is and they lock you up, you're not allowed to ask about it or you'll be killed. They lock up 3 generations of your family. You live off of dirt. I'm not kidding. You really live off of dirt. You starve to death until you are worked to death, whichever comes first. And you're beaten. They have morning beatings where the entire thing is to find somebody who did something in order to beat somebody that morning. And they end up raising the prison guards from children. And they raise them to be prison guards. So they are abused too. And in most instances, they know no better. Do you understand what I'm saying? People have been in these prisons for so long that they don't know that there is a world outside. They are not allowed to leave the prison in many instances, even the low-level guards. Imagine being born into a prison and that's all that you know. You don't know amusement parks, you don't know cell phones, you don't know pianos, you know prisons. You know bars, beating sticks, and these people that you're supposed to abuse because you got rewarded when you did when you were 2. The more likely explanation of the executions is that North Korean dictator is, I read that, sorry. The Seoul government has called recent events a reign of terror. The takeaway from these incidents is that obviously the hermit leader of the Stalinist regime has no problem using weapons of mass destruction against its perceived enemies. That is what he's trying to show here. Kim Jong-un may think he's nothing to lose as an ally of China, but recently cut off half its coal imports to the Republic of China. This makes his quest to obtain ballistic missiles, which can hit the U.S. trajectory, all the more threatening. In other words, China kind of sort of tried to rein in Kim Jong-un because of diplomatic pressure, not that they really care that he hates America. And Kim Jong-un pretty much told China they can go and take a bite, is what they told them. So North Korea is going renegade even from China. The good news is that if China stops helping them, then they'll have even less money to build weapons. But that works in theory. But in real life, of course, Kim Jong-un simply takes the money and buys Swiss cheese, buys Rolexes, buys immaculate things for those in his inner circle while everyone else starves. The entire country is out of Pyongyang, which is no great jewel itself. Outside of Pyongyang, they live like animals with no electricity, no heat, no warmth, no anything. They are so deformed and malnourished that their growth is stunted and their heads are the size of pumpkins. So it's a big deal, friends. It's a very big deal. That's your dumbdee of the day. Thank you for listening. Either Fukushima or Dunce Cap Monday or Tuesday of next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hitting share. And please donate at the correct views at hotmail.com through PayPal. Thanks, friends. Good night. God bless.